In the Southern culture that I was raised in, when we saw someone getting all dressed up, much nicer than what we were accustomed to seeing them, we would possibly accuse them of quote unquote putting on airs. Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10 Minute Torah, day number 3 of Torah portion Tetzaveh. We're still in chapter number 28 of the book of Shemot or Exodus. We're going to focus today on verse number 2. And you shall make set-apart garments for Aaron your brother, and for two purposes, for esteem and for comeliness, or the Hebrew words here are tiferet and kavod. More on that in a moment. My mom, I've often heard her say, look at them acting like a big Ike. Never really knew what that meant. But it was the idea that someone was acting at a level that was above or beyond what they normally would present themselves as. Sometimes we see people step out, step up, dress up, move in a realm that we're not accustomed to watching them move in. When Aaron put on the garments that were set apart for him, it put him in a completely different place and a completely different role than anything that he had previously been aware of. We have it a little backwards when we read about the role of the high priest as we read through the scriptures and his functions. If we look at this correctly, it says that Aaron is to be a priest to me. That's at the end of verse 3, chapter 28, verse 3. For him to serve as a priest to me. The purpose of Aaron, his sons, and other Levites functioning in their roles of priesthood was not as a grievance committee on behalf of the people, but rather they were there in the temple environment or the tabernacle environment for the wilderness journey as a means of worship and adoration, respect, and the giving of honor to Yah. It wasn't so much that they served the people, but they acted as in behalf of the people. As they served Yah, so then Israel was serving him. And so we understand then that their role was at the pleasure of the Most High. Yah says that when you come into this environment, to this tabernacle arena, it is set apart ground. Now, all of the priests had on white linen breeches, the King James says. They all had on a white tunic that went down beyond the waist toward mid-thigh, at least. They all had a sash around the middle, and they all had a turban of white on their head. To the high priest, however, there were additional garments. Over all of that, then, there was a turquoise-colored, double-seamed, reinforced neck area of a garment that went down in the front and the back, but was open at the sides. A beautiful garment. Around the hem of this garment were alternating pomegranates of various colors made of wool, and then alternating between the various colored pomegranates were gold bells. As he moved, the bells would sing and the pomegranates would move. This is the fruit of the Spirit and the gifts of the Spirit alternating and working together in a beautiful sound in the body. Over that then was the ephod. The ephod was, again, a curiously made garment looking very much like an apron with a bibbed apron of sorts. It was comprised of linen thread, of wool that was colored scarlet and blue and purple, and also a fine fiber of twisted gold. All of this twisted. Rashi says that the various colors were 6 threads of one color, 6 of another, etc. and they were all woven and twisted together to make one thread. This is a heavy, heavy garment. And the colors intertwined that way gave curious forms and images on this garment. Attached to it was the breastplate that had a stone for each of the tribes of Israel, onyx stones and clasps of gold at the shoulders, braided gold work that went on this breastplate to hang it from the shoulder area, the neck, and around the sides. And then a gold plate that said Kadosh Yahweh, holiness to Yah, that was then fashioned across the top of the brow on the white turban. It is said that the Kohen Hagadol, the high priest, looked more like a king than a priest, yet he walked barefooted. Now, whether that meant that it was a symbol of his humility and his kingly priestly service, or whether the power and the energy of Yah was so vibrant and alive and electric in that place that he needed to be grounded with his bare feet on the ground. So he moved for Yah's purpose and not for ours, per se. He was there for Yah's pleasure. It also meant that he was separated to Yah, working and speaking and acting as Yah alone required of him. He was not there to display the whims, the complaints, the whinings and grumblings of the people. He was not there to stand inside the tent at the altar of incense and say, the people are complaining. Yah heard them. He knew what they were saying. But he was there to give excellence and honor and esteem to the Most High. When he came out, he would have a word for the people. Moshe prophesied to the people. Aaron would come out and he would teach the people the truth. The Levites taught the people what the Torah and its meaning was. They were not there to play nice necessarily. They were not there to be brutes with the word or to browbeat anyone, but the truth was what was most important. When you stand in the presence of the Most High, the one commodity that you must have about yourself, within yourself, and coming out of your being is truth. Yah will not entertain a lie. Yah is not into deception, and there is no pulling of the wool over his eyes. There is no fooling him. He knows us exceptionally well, more so than we know ourselves, and he knows when we're doing things honestly and speaking truthfully to him. Now, I mentioned the garments being for kavod and tiferet. Tiferet is a word that would require hours of teaching and laying foundations to get to a place deep enough for us to properly understand the word. But suffice to say for this recording today that it is a deep Torah study term for the Messiah, who stands in the balance of mercy and judgment. He is the harmony and the splendor of both acting correctly. So as Aaron put on these garments, he was representing the perfect priest in our behalf, Yeshua, our Messiah. As he moved, he was prophesying and exemplifying the future revelation of Yeshua as the Messiah before the Father's eyes, and therefore he was accepted. The word kavod we understand most likely as heavy. The idea is weightiness. It's esteem. It's exceptional honor. It is the glory of the Most High, exuding and weighing them down. When these men moved in this environment, they had to remember who they were called to be, who they were serving, and where they were standing. May we do the same May you never forget who you are in Messiah. May you never forget whom you stand before. And may you never forget where you're walking and who's watching. More tomorrow. Until then, shalom.